Listen up, because what I'm about to tell you, you could save your career, your financial future, and maybe even your life. I'm Harold Mitchell, and I've spent 4 decades as a journalist, watching society change and not always for the better. Today, we're having the conversation nobody wants to have, but everybody needs to hear. This isn't about old man yelling at clouds. This is about survival in a world that doesn't care about your feelings. If you're under 40 and you think life owes you something, you're in for a rude awakening. If you're over 50 and you're tired of walking on eggshells around younger colleagues, it's time to speak some truth. The stakes couldn't be higher. We're looking at a generation that might be the first in American history to be worse off than their parents. Not because of economics, because of attitude. The work ethic that built this country is disappearing, and if we don't address it now, we're all going to pay the price. Here's what makes this so urgent: Social Security is running out. Pensions are extinct. The gig economy has no safety net. If young people don't develop real resilience and work ethic, now they'll be working until they die. And that's not hyperbole, that's mathematics. I'm going to share some hard truths that will make people uncomfortable. Some young viewers will call me a boomer and click away. Some older viewers will say I'm being too harsh. But if you stick with me until the end, you'll understand why this tough love might be the most important thing you hear all year. This isn't about creating division, it's about creating solutions. Because the truth is, both generations need each other. Seniors have wisdom and experience. Young people have energy and innovation. But we're wasting time fighting instead of learning from each other. I'm going to tell you exactly what I told my own kids, my employees, and anyone who would listen. The world doesn't care about your self-esteem. It cares about your results. And if you can't deliver results because you're too busy protecting your feelings, you're going to get left behind. So buckle up. We're going to talk about work ethic, resilience, financial reality, and what it really takes to succeed in 2025. Some of you won't like what you hear, but if you're smart, you'll listen anyway, because your future depends on it. Let me start with some facts that'll knock you sideways. According to recent workplace studies, the average employee today works 32% fewer hours per week than their 1970s counterpart, but they expect 40% higher starting salaries when adjusted for inflation. They take twice as many sick days, request 3 times more vacation time, and quit jobs at 5 times the rate of previous generations. I'm not making this up to make young people look bad. I'm sharing this because ignoring reality doesn't make it go away. When I started my career at the Cleveland Plain Dealer in 1978, showing up was 90% of the job. You came in sick, you came in tired, you came in whether you felt like it or not, because your family's dinner depended on it. Here's where I might lose some of you, but hear me out. We created this problem. My generation, we meant well. We wanted our kids to have higher self-esteem than we did, so we gave out participation trophies. We praised effort over results. We protected them from failure. But here's what we accidentally taught them. Showing up deserves recognition. Trying hard is the same as succeeding. Everyone's opinion is equally valid. And the biggest lie of all, you're special just for being you. The real world operates on different principles. Your boss doesn't care if you tried hard, they care if the project got done. Your clients don't care about your feelings. They care about value delivered. Your competitors sure as hell don't care about your self-esteem. I've interviewed hundreds of CEOs over my career, and here's what every single one told me: they can teach skills, but they can't teach work ethic. They can train someone to use software, but they can't train someone to show up early and stay late when needed. Everything today is instant. Instant messaging, instant food, instant entertainment, instant everything. So young people expect instant career success. They want to skip the grunt work, skip the paying dues, skip the years of learning, and go straight to the good stuff. I spent 5 years covering local city council meetings before they let me write about anything important. 5 years, today's journalism. Graduates think they should be anchoring the evening news after 6 months. They don't understand that mastery takes time, that expertise requires experience, that respect must be earned. This isn't about being mean, it's about being realistic. Every successful person I've ever interviewed had to do work they didn't like, for people they didn't respect, for less money than they thought they deserved. That's not exploitation, that's apprenticeship. Keep watching, because I'm about to explain why this mindset shift isn't just helpful. It's literally a matter of financial survival in today's economy. Here's the mathematical truth that's going to keep you up at night if you're under 35 today. You probably can't afford to retire, ever. Let me break down the numbers that financial advisors are too polite to share. In 1980, the average American had three sources of retirement income: Social Security, a company pension, and personal savings. Today, Social Security is projected to be insolvent by 2033. Company pensions have virtually disappeared. And personal savings? The average American has less than $1,000 in their savings account. I've watched this crisis unfold over 4 decades of financial reporting. The writing has been on the wall for years, but nobody wanted to read it. Now we're facing a generation that expects to retire at 65, but hasn't done the math on what that actually costs. Financial planners use something called the 4% rule. You can safely withdraw 4% of your retirement savings annually without running out of money. To maintain a middle-class lifestyle in retirement, you need about $80,000 per year. Do the math. That requires $2 million in savings. For a comfortable retirement, you're looking at $3 million or more. How many young people today are on track to save $3 million? According to Fidelity's most recent data, less than 5%. The rest are living paycheck to paycheck, prioritizing experiences over investments and assuming everything will somehow work out. This isn't pessimism, it's arithmetic. And arithmetic doesn't care about your feelings. Everyone talks about side hustles like they're the solution to everything. Drive for Uber, sell stuff online, be an influencer. But here's what they don't tell you. Side hustles without real skills are just another form of minimum wage work with no benefits. I've interviewed dozens of so-called successful entrepreneurs who are actually just gig workers with better marketing. They're making $30,000 a year with no health insurance, no retirement plan, and no job security, but they call themselves CEO on social media. Real wealth comes from developing valuable skills, building expertise over time, and creating systems that work whether you're actively involved or not. That takes years of focused effort, something the instant gratification generation struggles with. Young people complain they can't afford houses like their parents could. They're right, but not for the reasons they think. Yes, housing costs have increased relative to income, but spending patterns have changed dramatically too. When I bought my first house in 1982, we had one car, one TV, one phone line, and we ate out maybe once a month. Today's young couples want 2 cars, multiple streaming services, the latest phones, and they eat out multiple times per week, then wonder why they can't save for a down payment. This isn't about being judgmental, it's about being mathematical. Every dollar spent on consumption is a dollar not invested in assets. And in today's economy, the difference between consumers and investors is the difference between poverty and prosperity. Don't change the channel, because what I'm about to share next could completely change how you think about career success. Here's something that might shock you. The most successful people I've interviewed over my career all had one thing in common. It wasn't talent. It wasn't connections. It wasn't even intelligence. It was experience with failure. Every CEO, every entrepreneur, every high achiever had stories about times they got knocked down hard, lost jobs, failed businesses, public humiliation. But instead of seeking therapy or safe spaces, they learned to see failure as feedback and adversity as training. The problem with today's culture is we've medicalized normal human experiences. Disappointment becomes trauma. Criticism becomes abuse. Challenge becomes toxic. We've created a generation that sees normal life stress as pathology. I spent 2 years covering wars in the Middle East in the 1990s. Dangerous, absolutely. Uncomfortable every single day. Life-changing, without question. Those experiences taught me more about myself and the world than any college course ever could. Today's young people optimize for comfort. They want remote work, flexible schedules, unlimited PTO, and psychological safety. But here's what they don't understand. Growth happens outside your comfort zone. Always. The most valuable skills: leadership. Problem-solving, emotional resilience can only be developed under pressure. You can't learn to handle crisis by avoiding crisis. You can't build confidence by staying safe. Social media has created the most unfair comparison environment in human history. Young people compare their behind-the-scenes reality to everyone else's highlight reel, then wonder why they feel inadequate. But here's what I learned, covering business for 40 years.